Hi guys, Howard Crossan here. Like a lot of you, I am housebound at the minute, seeing as I can't go out fishing because of all this virus business. I thought that I'd put together a few videos where I'd take you through some of the stuff that I do in my own personal fishing. I'll probably do a few fly time videos as well. Really just to give you a little bit of sort of background about myself, because obviously a lot of you guys won't know me. I'm actually a full-time product developer for Hardy and Grays. I'm actually the head product designer, so I design most of the fly fishing product for the Hardy and Grays brands. But more importantly, I've been a fly fisherman for probably close to 35 years now, and a fly tyer for about the same amount of time. I've been really fortunate through my career to be able to fish all over the world, and I've fished in some incredible places, probably some of the best anglers you can imagine. Working for Hardy and Grays has really given me the opportunity to travel and meet some incredible people, some legends in the sport, and I've learned a lot over the years. I've also been a competition angler for around about 23, 24 years, and that's something I've always been really passionate about. I've been quite successful as well on a team basis. I've got a couple of team medals, a gold and a bronze, and I've placed in the top 10 3 times individually at Worlds, including last year when I was fortunate enough to be the 2019 World Fly Fishing Champion down in Tasmania. So I've been around a bit, I've seen a lot of things, but obviously like all of us, I've still got a lot to learn when it comes down to fly fishing. All of these videos I'm going to try and keep to less than 10 minutes, because if your attention span's anything like mine, it won't be very long. What I'm going to try and do is give you an insight into some of the things I do and why I do it. I see a lot of stuff these days. I see a lot of videos, particularly fly time videos and flies on Facebook, which, you know, while they're a really good demonstration of the fly tyer's art, they're really very little to do with fishing, in my opinion, unfortunately. I see a lot of flies that aren't particularly well designed for purpose, and are basically overly complicated to be a good, efficient fishing fly. So when I do a few fly time videos, don't expect, you know, incredible production quality. That's not what you're going to get. You'll get hopefully good, sensible, durable patterns that are fast and easy to tie. What I thought I'd do for this first video, and some of you guys, if you've followed my articles in Fly Fishing and Fly Time magazine, might have seen that I did an article a while back about organisation of my fishing vest. Now, as a competition angler, organising my equipment is really important for me. Fishing in Phipps Moosh events, where we're typically fishing a 3-hour session, and we've got a section of water to fish when it comes down to a river beat, being organised 100% puts you more fish on the card at the end of the session. And when it comes down to pleasure fishing, being organised gives you more fishing time, lets you catch more fish. It's as simple as that. So how do I organise my gear for river fishing? I tend to fall in the camp of people that like chest packs. This is my chest pack. It's an old William Joseph type. I've had it for years and it's now starting to fall to bits. But I'll run you through how I've actually got this rigged up. Now, this is typically how I would fish in a competition. Now, if I sort of run down from the top, up here on the left hand side I've got a gel floatant that I can easily just squeeze onto my flies, dead straightforward and simple. Over on the right hand side I've got my hydration bladder. Over the course of a 3-hour session, rather than coming back in, undoing a bottle of drink, swigging out of it, screwing the top back on, putting it back in my bag, I can get to my water really quickly. And it's really important in these competitions when you're doing a lot of running around and stuff to keep hydrated. So I have a hydration bladder in the back. I don't put any beer in it, not until after the competition anyway. Then down here in the front, what I've got is a little card on a retractor. I keep a couple of spur rigs on this. You know, if I'm fishing the duo, I might have a spur duo rig on it. If I'm fishing the double nymph, I might have a spur double nymph rig on it. Just so if I suffer a catastrophic break and it's in the last few minutes of a session, I can quickly retie a leader very fast. Right next to it, got my forceps. They sit in there. Come down a little bit, I've got my snips. Now, one trick I do is on the back of my snips, I've got a little sharpening stone that's been super glued on the back of there. That means if I'm trimming a tag end, I can just wipe the point a couple of times. If you carry your sharpener inside your vest, typically most of us don't bother going ratcheting about looking for it. So having it there allows me to sharpen that hook point up really quickly and easily. Over on the other side, I've got a couple of little pads. This one's a drying pad, so I can squeeze moisture out of a cul-de-canard fly or any other kind of dry fly. And then this one's a little cleaning pad that I use to wipe down my leader, especially when I've already applied fluorescent wax if I'm doing any European nymphing and I want to increase the visibility of the leader. So that's used to take the fluorescent wax off. I'll show you where I keep my fluorescent wax in a minute. Right next to that, I've got this little gadget. This basically is for drying off a soaked cul-de-canard dry fly. So if my fly's got completely soaked, I can hook it into there, and this is quite a powerful band, and I flick the tippet, flick the band, and that actually fires all of the moisture off the cul-de-canard. You can do it with an elastic band as well. The only problem with the elastic bands is they tend to perish, and then at some point you'll realise and it'll just snap on you when you're fishing. Next to that, I've just got a little fly patch where I keep a few streamers, a few other bits and pieces of junk that I'm not normally going to fish all the time. Then you'll see this thing right in the middle of the pack. This is my, for want of a better description, matchbox. So when I'm fishing a competition session, I will preload this with everything that I need for that session. I always view it that if I have to go into my chest pack for another fly during the competition, I've botched up. I like to prepare before the session, put everything that I need in this little box. Now this little box is actually on a magnet, so it actually grips the front of the pack. So when I'm running, dancing around in the river coming back, it's not bouncing around hitting me in the face. And that's done by gluing a magnet on the back, pushing a magnet through the front of the pack, so it holds it nice and tight, doesn't come off. Inside the box, and this is a bit of a mess from the Worlds, I've still not sorted it out, I have the flies in bead weight order, so that I can always find the right weight bead for the right weight water. In the back I'll keep some dries and streamers, and everything's more or less in there that I need. Need to fix that later, the box is falling to bits. Okay, you'll notice there's a GoPro mount on the front. I hardly ever use that, to be honest. So down inside the pack itself, I carry 3 fly boxes typically. One with all my standard nymphs, one with all my jig nymphs, a few streamers in there as well, and then down in the front, smaller dry fly box. They all sit in there quite comfortably. Just on the inside flat, I've got my little Fipsmoosh gauge so I can measure the beads if I need to during the session. Although all of my beads I tend to measure prior to tying them anyway. You'll see down here at the sides, I've got 2 tippet stacks. Now, these are little, actually stropped spools. The reason I use those particular ones is that they're black, so the sunlight can't get through and damage the either the nylon monofilament I've got or the fluorocarbon. Although fluorocarbon typically isn't damaged by sunlight to the same degree. Now, I carry diameters in fluorocarbon from around about 0.17 right the way down to 0.8. And then in my copolymer, I've got the same from about 0.20 all the way down to 0.8. So I can cover everything from streamers right through to tiny dries. Up in the front here, I've got this little drop down patch which I've done a lot of modification to. In here I've got coloured grease, so I can highlight again on the leader or if I'm doing any upstream nymphing. Got some mud to sink and take some of the flash off the leader. And then I've also got 2 colours of wax. This I use a lot. I put this a lot onto the leader to highlight it for take detection. That's where this comes in. I need this to wipe that off when I'm not using it. I also keep in the front a couple of spur leaders on spools or different diameter leaders. Typically a dry fly leader and a spur nymphing leader. Again, in case I have a catastrophe mid-river. So all that goes in there. Then here, I've got some desiccant type powder floatant on a leash. Now that's put on a leash for the reason that when I'm fishing dry flies and the action's fast and furious, I can have it out on the front of my pack and always get to it every time I want to dry that fly. So nice and quick and easy to have that to hand. Drop that back in. So everything's quite neat and out of the way. You'll notice I didn't mention, but on these tippet spools as well, these are leashed down at the bottom. Now I can dispense tippet from them when they're leashed, or just by unclipping them, I can also get them off if I want to pull more tippet material off. I have them tied down so that basically they don't interfere with the fly line. If they're hanging loose like this, it's possible to get loose fly line around them. You don't want that. You want everything quite neat and organised for when you're fishing under quite a lot of time pressure. In the side little pockets here, I've got a couple of other things. I've got some mucilin grease and some spur wax in case I have a disaster and drop one of these in the river. Quickly flip this round, show you what's in the back. So in the back here, a few things, a couple of extra boxes. This one's junk, things like squirmy worms, egg flies, large indicators, stuff that I generally won't use very often. This is my master streamer box with all the streamers in case I run out of what I've got in the front of my vest. Then I have a couple of smaller leaf boxes. One's got my coarse fish flies in for fishing for things like chub, dace, things like that. One's got my spiders in. Those sit in the back. All my fishing licenses and permits go in there. Then right down here in the next one, somewhere. Yep, it's gone. Must have left that somewhere. In the back there I have two things. I have a thermometer and I have a stomach pump in case the fish are getting particularly picky and I can't work out what they're eating. So all in all, that's how my chest pack's set up. Typically, if I'm fishing a competition, that's all I need. And that's pretty much all I use when I'm pleasure fishing as well. Hope you found it useful. Keep your eyes out for some of the other videos that I do. I have got a YouTube channel now. And you can also keep track of me on Instagram, Howard Croston Fly Fisher, and on Facebook, Howard Croston Fly Fishing. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. See you next time.